Whilst I expected to be in here, part of me also didn't expect to be here. So the plan was a day admission. Yesterday they had no beds. So I was supposed to have a day admission today. But my port ended up looking quite gunky. I'll put a picture or a video here. And obviously that's not great. That is a concern for sepsis risk, etc. And I happen to also have a temperature of 40 degrees alongside that. So the option was taken out of my hands as to how we deal with this. So I am now in as an inpatient, gonna have bloods done and stuff. I don't plan on staying, I'll be fully honest with you. I plan on having my bloods come back clear and swapping IV antibiotics to something different because these ones aren't working, and then going home. However, if I'm not clinically well, as in if my bloods are problematic, I will stay until they are clear, and then I will go home. So yeah, I'm not happy about it. I've had a couple of mentee bees today. I'm not going to go into how mentee bee, as in what my worries and woes have been, because we don't need to talk about that right now. But yeah, I'm already missing the boys. Like, it's been a couple of hours and I'm just like, get me home now, please. I want to be sick at home where I can have cuddles and food and cups of tea on tap and people just trying to cheer me up. Here is just isolating and miserable. So fingers crossed I can sort myself out ASAP. This is how determined I am not to stay. I bought my medications, like 2 days worth, in a carrier bag. Usually I put them in my medical box and it'll be like 2 weeks worth of meds. No, I'm manifesting home. So there is 2 days. And even though they order them for me here, so there will be some on the ward for me if I stay longer. That was my, we'll plan for the best and hope for the best. There is no worst option here. Bright and early awakening in hospital, as always, because I'm so lucky when I need to recover. And I'm just awoken by catering staff asking for me to fill out my menu on meds round. I'm like, I don't care about any of that right now. I just want to go to sleep. And then when I get woken up, that's when the epic coughing fit starts. Like, now I'm awake because I've had a coughing fit. So I don't know what's going on today. Ideally, I wanted to leave and go home. I don't see that happening. I feel like they coaxed me in here with the promise of going home today, knowing that was never going to happen. If I'm completely honest with you, I think I've been duped. My cannula is very sore, so I'm just kind of lying it on a pillow like that so that I don't lean on it. Ugh. And then that still hurts, so not a clue what's going on, but I will obviously update the video as time goes on. Got myself dressed to feel a bit more fresher, but it's just not the same as getting dressed after a shower at home. Hate it. I'm so ready to go home. I've only been here 24 hours. So my CRP is okay. But CRP alone isn't an indicator as to whether you're okay or not. But it means that my body is coping with whatever is going on. And isn't struggling as such. So whilst I'm physically struggling, my body inside is still doing its job. And we're just waiting for the cultures to come back for my port to see if there is any signs of sepsis or infection in my blood. They can take up to 24 to 48 hours. So even if everything else is fine, I have to wait here until that's sorted. So we need to figure out whether we're taking the gripper needle out that's in there and putting another one in if we're using it at all. If not, I'm going to go home with 3 weeks IVs. I've just been on 2. So we're starting again on 3 weeks on a different course of antibiotics, and possibly using the cannula and having it changed by district nurses. Or with any luck, the cultures will come back clear and we'll just put another gripper needle in my port and hope for the best. But if there's something wrong with my port site or positioning, or something's moved, then I'll have to go to interventional radiology for them to scan it and see whether it's dislodged or anything like that. And that may be the reason for the leak of fluid. So I don't really know fully at the moment what's going on. I just know that I'm here for another 24 to 48 hours. And obviously I've had a phone call with Adam and he's like, right, come on. 24 to 48 hours versus 3 weeks. Like, that is better than the other option. They want me to do another oxygen 6-minute walk test. I don't really know the point because I differ so much. Like, it's fluctuates so much. And then with my chest and how it feels, how restricted it feels and how breathless I get, because oxygen doesn't always combat that. Like, it's not always oxygen I need. Sometimes my chest is just restricted. They want to do some rehabilitation on it, which I'm annoyed about, because anyone who knows me knows how I'm adventuring up and doing stuff all the time, to the point people are like, slow down. So I slow down for a bit, and then now I'm needing rehab for doing that. So it's like, maybe I was right and everyone else is wrong. Maybe I didn't need to slow down, and that I was doing the right thing by being so active all the time. And maybe it wasn't to my detriment, like people may think when you overdo it. And I get the science, I get the theory behind that, but yeah. So I'll try and update you as things go on. Don't really know what's going on, so that's it for a minute. So here's my dinner. I'm not going to insult it because I know people don't like that when I insult NHS food. But let's just say what I get at home is far more substantial and aids my recovery far more. So yeah, I did also order a mackerel salad, just because omega-3 is good for you. And even if all I eat is the fish, it's good to have that with my nutrition, because that is that is that. Lighting will be shit in this video because it's night time and I don't want to turn the big light on because my eyes are stinging as it is. Update, it's been a shit show, so I'll do the best I can to explain it, but if you are following me on social media, you'll already know what's been going on. So I'm still here, bearing in mind I said I didn't want to be here more than 24 hours. I'm on my second cannula, so 7 attempts at trying to get a cannula in. Still no port, but it is looking worse for wear. Bruised and in a different position. No one here to access it or even look at it or anything. They haven't arranged for me to go down to IR to have anyone check it, nothing. So the next time we access it, there is potentially a chance it wouldn't even work. Whereas if we went to IR and they said, yep, tube's still attached, etc., we know it should work. There is also a danger of we put it in and flush a line infection through. So nothing is being done and it's really frustrating. I'm in a lot of pain from my chest infection in general. My body is just fatigued and aching. And then each attempt at cannula, each site is really sore from the rummaging. And yesterday's cannula site is a bit swollen and just not comfortable. And they tried in this part of my hand as well, and that's really sore. So there was a, you're having amikacin IV, then there was a, you're not having amikacin IV because you had an allergic reaction. Then it was a, yes, you are having it because we said so. There's someone else saying, no, she can't. Then someone saying no, she can't because she has a cannula, it can't go through a cannula. And someone else saying we're going to try her on a nebulizer version instead. So the ceftazidime I'm on doesn't have its combo. So usually I have two together. It would have been ceftaz and amikacin. I don't have the combo. I'm also on caspofungin for aspergillus. That's not a fun one. That really hurts through a cannula. And I'm also pretty sure it's given me some pretty horrible moods and agitation feelings about 2-3 hours after I've had it, because I can't explain them any other way. I've also lost weight. I'm feeling really frustrated that there's just been no plan, there's been no honesty, there's been no one singing from the same song sheet. I need a new line, obviously, so we need to attempt that. If that doesn't work, I need a midline. They're saying, well, someone won't be able to fit a midline till next week, potentially even Friday next week. And I'm like, one, how do you know that right now? How have you just this second checked everywhere? And everyone has said, no, no one in this hospital can fit a midline right now until next Friday. That's ridiculous, because there will be ICU patients who are unable to be cannulated, and oncology patients who need those lines put in. There will be someone here who can put a midline in. So I don't really understand the logic behind them saying that. That's ridiculous. I don't think we can go more than this cannula. I think 2 is the limit, because they have tried so many other places. I don't see how my veins will suddenly just work when they've never really worked. The other one stopped working within 24 hours, which was 3 IVs worth. So if we go by that logic, this one's got 3 IVs worth because they're so strong. It's just been problem after problem and no one saying the same thing. No one's on board with anything. And I've been really frustrated by it, and I feel a bit let down. And I feel like they're actually more willing to talk about some more deeper level stuff when it comes to palliative care. And although there is a real broad spectrum of palliative care, it isn't always the EOL side of things. It can be just making people with a chronic or terminal illness comfortable at home, even if that's for years. But it seems like they're ready to rush things on, and I'm not. I'm still at the point of wanting to talk about transplant. I still want my referral to London, and that's been obstacle after obstacle. And even still, it's not looking any closer than it was, because this hospital decided to put the brakes on. And now I don't have an appointment with Harefield that I should have had. So I'm really disappointed. I feel really let down, and I feel very given up on. And I'm trying to be as positive as I can. And I cannot thank Adam and my parents enough for listening to me have mental breakdowns every day, where I have just been sobbing and crying non-stop. The first hour that I had the other cannula in that the caspofungin was going through, I cried for the whole hour on the phone to Adam, and he just sat there and listened. So those things I am very grateful for. And then Adam today brought me a flask of stew so that I could eat throughout the day, because the food here is still abysmal. And yeah, this is not how hospitals are supposed to be. And they're not supposed to be this stressful. And the stress doesn't help my recovery, hence why I've lost weight. Hence why I'm not feeling any better, because if they're going to be like this in hospital, then I need to be at home. And I know hospitals are the safest place, but for what's going on with me, I feel like rotting in a bed with very below par nutrition and just no positivity around me. I feel like home is the best place, where at least I can try get up every day and do something and be some form of active, even if that's just walking downstairs. And I know I can do that here, but then you've got the infection risk, then you've got to worry about what's going on out there. So it's not been a fun time. I will do my best to keep this vlog going until Sunday at least, to keep you updated, but it's just going to be a lot of these sat talking, I'm afraid. This will be my last video in the hospital, because I am going to try and manage this all at home. It has been an absolute shit show. Even today, there were revelations made that were like, are you actually serious? Like, you guys need to sort your shit out. But basically, the line cultures they needed to take from my port to see if there was an active infection inside the port line were actually taken from a cannula. They took blood from a cannula when they put it in, but none from my port. And I knew that. But I just assumed they knew what they were doing, and I thought, oh, maybe it will just show in my blood as a whole. They'll see that there's an infection or sepsis, and that means that there's a line infection. Like, I wasn't any the wiser. So when I mentioned that to my CF nurse today, he was like, what do you mean they took it from a cannula? I was like, I mean, just that, they took it from a cannula. So he was like, so we've just sat here for 3 days waiting for results that are not going to show us what we need to know. So I've had no cultures from my port. However, they have flushed my port through to see if I had a pyrexic response, which is a temperature which would happen within a few minutes to an hour and would show that I was having a response to an infection that's just been flushed into my bloodstream. So the shit way of doing it, because that means I would have, if I had that infection, I would have then had to go for all of those sepsis symptoms and have it treated. Whereas if you just got the blood cultures withdrawn from the line and not used it, I would have just had the antibiotics and not felt further infection or sepsis responses. However, my normal cultures that came back that are pointless now anyway were negative. So my body does not have sepsis going on, which is good. I have not had, so far, it's been an hour, I have not had a pyrexic response to them flushing my line. My temperature's raised, but it didn't raise enough. It has to be 39 or above for it to be a pyrexic response. So we're not concerned. It's all been a bit much, and I think I've struggled most with knowing how unwell I am, but having blood results that show my body is coping, I'm like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to feel when my body is not coping? But we've come up with some pain management plan. Going to do this at home because other than if my blood results were bad, there's nothing else they can offer me here that I can't do at home with home IVs. So I'm going to be on amikacin, which I'm allergic to, because my whole body came out in a rash for the whole 2 weeks I was on it. So we're doing some exposures to that. So I've had some today, and then I will start again on Monday with a nurse with me in the hospital. So I'll come back to respiratory on Monday, and then start amikacin, start amikacin, ceftazidime and caspofungin. So flying solo over the weekend, but to be honest, I'm quite unwell anyway. But I'm okay to wait those 2 days because I've had a pretty big bout of medication go through me, the zycoplanin as well, which is a sepsis antibiotic. But it's been one hell of a time. We've had 7 tries for a cannula, 8 tries for a cannula and 2 successes. And then 3 tries for blood draws with a butterfly needle as well. And then another port access. So I have been in a lot of pain. My chest is in a lot of pain, which is what we're doing pain management for. And as you can see, I don't look too good. But we know that I'm going home unwell, and that's something we're coming to terms with. That the recovery I can get at home with good food, good people, bed rest, in my own bed, having access to everything in my house, and being able to go out and get fresh air, going for a walk if I can. That's far better than lying in this bed and just rotting away when I could do the same at home that they do here. However, if my blood results weren't great, I would be staying here because obviously they'd need to give stronger antibiotics that can't be done at home, and they would need to monitor me. So whilst I strongly advocate for when I need to be in, they need to get me in and sort me out. I also at this point know that home feels safer for me, especially when they were going to potentially send me home with a line infection, because these results came back clear from the cannula, obviously. Like, how stupid can you get? So the cannula blood cultures were clear. So they would have sent me home thinking they were clear, not realising they weren't taken from my port line, which could have had an infection in it. And then I would have pushed that through when I started my IVs and had that septic response at home. So yeah, it's hard to believe that this is the safest place for me to be sometimes. I'm ready to have a nice cup of tea, have some snuggles, and just chill out and watch some TV, because I have cried a lot in the last 3 days, like a lot. And there's obviously a lot of heavy talks when I come in and have these conversations about where we're at. And it's been heavy. So I just need to be at home. And I will see if there's any more updates I can leave in this vlog. But otherwise, it's just been a bit of a shit show. Hopefully in a minute we can say goodbye to this cannula as well, because my God, they hurt. I've got to have it amikacin first, which is going to sting. Yeah. See you in the next bit. Last prison meal before I go home. Kind of ending it on high, because their broccoli and blue cheese soup is not bad at all. This dish is like a chicken arrabbiata dish or something. And it's nothing to write home about. It's quite watery, but it's not the worst dish. And I don't know if I'll be eating the chocolate rice pudding today. But yeah, time to go home soon. So I am home. Some will perhaps say that is not the right choice. I'm still feeling very rough. I am due to continue my IV antibiotics tomorrow. However, I don't think that's happening, because I have had no contact from the delivery companies, either Baxter or Lloyd's, depending on who we're going with. And they will always contact me 48 hours before, and then another 24 hours before, and then occasionally on the day of. I'm due to be at hospital at 11 tomorrow morning to restart. There is not a chance that they are coming, because I haven't even got a delivery slot. So now I'm questioning whether they've even been ordered. And again, that's not on me. They gave me instructions as to what was happening, told me that I can go home on IV antibiotics and they will be delivered on Monday. It's out of my hands, unfortunately. But I just don't see that happening. But maybe it will, I don't know. There was lots of cock-ups, if I'm completely honest with you, and lots of reasons to feel like I can't trust the NHS at times. Now, of course, some people were going to say that's a massive exaggeration. It was just a couple of minor incidents that can be resolved and were resolved, essentially. But for me, it's a what if the worst happens. And I know people say, oh, you shouldn't think about what if. When it comes to your healthcare, you do have to think what if, because that is how you stop them from happening in the future. So having it day text is as far as it's been taken, which is a report filled out to say what happened, and it will be investigated. So testing my line to see if there's an infection in it was obviously very important, because that can be sepsis in my line. However, then them saying, oh, well, we took it from the cannula, so it's not going to show if there's an infection in your line. Those results could have came back 72 hours later clear, which they did come back clear. That would not have shown whether there was an infection in my line, because it didn't come from the line. So essentially, they could have sent me home to do IV antibiotics and I would have had a sepsis shower whilst at home under no supervision. So it was a potentially very dangerous situation, and you have to think on the side of what if that was the case, because if you don't, then that could actually happen in the future. I'm kind of surviving off of willpower and painkillers at the moment. My chest isn't any better, unfortunately, but my mental health at home is a lot better. I'm eating better already and will hopefully put some weight on, and I'm sleeping better already. So, I mean, I don't ever feel like I've slept, whether I have or not. You don't sleep in hospital. Honestly, it feels like you're losing your mind. So, don't know what's going to happen moving forward, if I'm completely honest with you. And winter is a difficult time for me. And as you can see, no filters. I don't look healthy. I look very pale and probably very slim at the moment. I just want to be well again. It's very frustrating knowing that that is probably not going to happen ever. We will have baselines of this is as good as it gets. There will be times when I can still function. I mean, this morning, trying to be Mrs. Independent as ever, went to put some washing in the washing machine and, you know, pretty much passed out on the sofa afterwards with Adam saying, sit down. I think losing my independence has been one of the biggest struggles for me. I'm just so grateful. I say it every time. I'm just so grateful I don't have to do this alone, because it would be really fucking hard. But yeah, whilst I was in hospital, I had some lovely FaceTimes with the lads and we have tea together. It's very sweet. So I'll eat my food in the hospital and they will sit at the dinner table and eat theirs. It's very sweet. And me and Adam did actually manage to go out and have something to eat last night. And oh my God, when you've had hospital food, even for just one day, or you've been so ill, you've been throwing up for days, and then this is the kind of food you eat. Ugh, it was brilliant. Really happy with it. And then Haggis had a quick bit of zoomies. Haggis gave me lots of cuddles when I got home, which was lovely. So I'm very grateful, very loved, very grateful, and it will be okay. Everything will be okay. It has to be. There is no other option. I have to be here. I need to survive. So we keep pushing on, as always. But I'm going to end this video here. New vlog will start from tomorrow. See if it's a more interesting week. And I'm sorry this one has been so very little content, but what else could I have done, in all fairness? But I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.